instrumental info night. We appreciate you taking the time out to learn a little bit about the program, get a chance to ask our team questions, and however we can be assistants in this whole process, that's our job. My name is Barbara Elder, and I am the band director at Olive Loss Elementary and Cedar Lane Elementary. I am currently now at Laurelwood Grove as well, but we are lucky enough to have just acquired the fabulous, the wonderful Miss Megan DeSousa, so she's going to be joining our team, and she will be taking over for Laurelwood Grove and Bunker Hill Band and Brick Mill Strings. So she'll be starting here in the next coming weeks. To my right is Anita Pisano. She is one of our strings teachers. She teaches at Olive Loss, Cedar Lane, Laurelwood Grove. That's it. Jillian Wu, who is at Old State and Brick Mill. Scott Lynch, who is a strings director at Old State, Bunker Hill, Townsend. That's it. Miss Kathleen McGrath, she is at Silver Lake and Townsend. And I already introduced Miss Megan DeSousa. And we have Mr. Carl Van Valkenburg, who will be doing the strings at Silver Lake. And I believe that's everybody, right? And no cards, by the way. So, what we're going to go over real quick this evening is the instruments that are offered, the instruction. We only give instruction on certain instruments, how the program works, expectations not only from us as instructors, students and families, a little bit about practicing, because that's a very big and key component, and it's great to see a lot of kids here because now we are telling you, and we'll tell you about, 9,000 times during the school year about practicing. Most importantly, how to get an instrument. There are a couple of different ways, so we'll go over that. We're in, what's next? We sold you on our program because you are here. How to sign up if you haven't signed up already, what the next steps are, and any important dates that you need to, mark in your calendar. So we're going to go through those. I'm going to turn it over now to Ms. McGrath, who's going to go over the instruments that are offered.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to start on this side of the stage. We have, in the string family, we have 3 instruments that the students can choose from. Violin, viola, and cello, and they all look essentially the same, just different sizes. And then, next to me, I have the bell kit. So for students who are interested in percussion, this part is really important. They're going to get what we call a bell kit. It includes a very small xylophone, as well as the practice pad. These students are going to be learning both instruments during the year. They'll start on one and then transition to the other, so they have a little extra responsibility with that. It's really important when you get your bell kit that the instrument does not have any letter names on the bars. Just like a piano doesn't have the letter names on the keys, we don't want the kids to have the letter names on the bars. They're going to learn the notes because of the pattern that they see. Next to the bell kit, we have the flute, which is our highest sounding in the woodwind family. Clarinet. Clarinet, as well as the saxophone, are instruments that have reeds, and those reeds are the important thing that makes the sound, so that's an important part that the students are going to need to be responsible about, and they will let you know if they need to replace those reeds. That's the one thing that will break. It's just, it happens. So you'll get new reeds throughout the year. We like the students to have a box of reeds, so that as they use those reeds, they can replace them so they can continue making good sounds. The alto saxophone is the largest of the woodwind instruments that we're offering this year. As the students move into high school, they have the options of switching to other instruments. These 3 instruments The fingerings on them are very similar, so it's easy for students to switch from one instrument to another as they move into high school. Next to that, we have our, I'm going to go to trumpet, which is our high-sounding brass instrument. And I don't have a mouthpiece out. For both the trumpet as well as the trombone, the students will need to buzz their lips to make a sound, as opposed to clarinet and saxophone where they're using a reed. The trombone is my favorite. So it looks really big, and that scares a lot of people, but it's light because it's hollow inside, right? And of course, we all are familiar with the slide trombone. The slide moves back and forth, and that's how they change their notes. Students are sometimes, or parents, I think, afraid that they aren't going to be able to play the right notes or aren't going to know how to get the right sound. And really, there's a little secret that we share with the kids about where the slide goes so that they can get the right sound. So this instrument tends to scare kids away, but really it's the most fun. So that's it. I think that's all of them, right? Okay, so we're going to move on and talk a little bit about lessons.
Thank you very much. So lessons are 30 minutes long. They are once a week. And the way that we have them scheduled, it rotates during the day. Every week, it'll be on the same day. So if your lessons are on Monday, they're going to be on Monday. Every week, you bring your instrument on Monday. And then you just know no matter what, you're there, you're ready for Mondays. Okay? Then, during Monday, you're going to have a time that will rotate throughout the day each week. So that you're never missing the same class over and over and over again. You don't want to miss science all the time. You don't want to miss, art every single time. That wouldn't be okay. So we rotate it all the way through the schedule so that 6 or 7 rotations normally. So it's once every 7 times we'll come around and they have the same one. Schedule conflicts. Every once in a while, a teacher will be like, but we're having a test. That's okay, because there's 7 other spots. So as long as we know what's happening, or if you're sick one day or something like that, then we can normally schedule around anything. So just send a quick email, and we can schedule around whatever needs to be scheduled around.
Band and strings is a graded subject. It does appear on the report card. They are graded on 3 competencies: note reading, rhythm accuracy, and fundamentals. Note reading, how well do they read the notes, lines and spaces. Rhythm accuracy, how well do they hold their rhythms? Do they hold them for the full allotted time? Fundamentals, posture, breathing. Are they holding the instrument properly? Are you using the correct articulation, the bowing, things like that. The actual, and that's graded on a 4, 3, 2, 1 scale. Grades are entered as a competency on the report card. Something a little bit different is that we only assign grades for the 2nd and the 4th marking period. And that's because for the 1st marking period, they may only have 2 or 3 lessons before we have to do grades. And that's really not enough time to get them into the nitty-gritty and be able to provide you with any feedback. Like Mrs. Pisano said, we only see them once a week. So we can give more accurate feedback, however we can support with that. So be sure to look when you get your child's report card on the 2nd and the 4th marking periods, because there'll be a spot for band and strings. Okay, I'll go ahead for commitment. Students are encouraged to make a commitment for the full year. Switching instruments in the middle of the year is not permitted. There's kind of a special caveat with that, unless it's under the director's recommendation. Sometimes if a student appears to be struggling on an instrument, getting a sound, then we would, bring it to your attention and say, can we try a different instrument? And then based on our recommendation, we would allow the student to switch. This is just because our schedules are pretty tight, just because, okay, I tried flute, now it's February and I want to try clarinet. There's really no place to put them to start them from scratch. If a student loses interest, that's okay. That's okay. It's not for everyone, and that's okay. We just ask that you notify us, let us know, thanks, it's just not going to work out for right now, and we'll go ahead and remove them from our roster. But if you are renting an instrument, we really want you to return that instrument as soon as possible, so you're not paying for an instrument nobody's playing. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Lynch.
These next 3 slides are going to be about expectations. Why are we talking about this? Well, I think one thing that we all agree on, all of us in this room, is that we want those who are playing the instruments, the students, to be successful in terms of learning the many, many small skills that are going to be taught on a weekly basis that are going to be combined and refined and revised into what eventually is going to become the magical act of a musical performance. So in order for that to happen, what it really comes down to is that all of us who are involved with this have a very important job to play, whether that's in doing what we do as students in order to learn the skills and continue to deepen the learning of those skills, or provide the support that makes that process easier. So the 3 main actors in this could be defined as the teachers, parents, and students. And we're going to talk about, regardless of what your role is, some suggestions or expectations that we feel will help our students be as successful as possible in learning how to play an instrument. Teacher expectations. What can you expect from us? Well, we will, of course, provide students with the best instruction that we can. We are all degreed teachers in music education. We'll have a lot of experience working in this very specific domain of working with beginner level band and string students. And we're going to put that expertise to use to do the best that we can. We're going to treat you and your child with respect. It goes without saying, but I just said it anyway. We are going to contact you with any issues regarding instruments or any concerns with behavior, such as, for example, maybe your instrument is not coming to school when it's supposed to. Any sort of issue that arises, we want to contact you, and we want you to be involved and to work out a solution to support our students. And if you have any questions or concerns that you want to initiate contact with, we will be available to answer those questions in a very timely manner.
Mr. Lynch, can I add something real quick?
Yes, you may, Ms. Elder.
Email is the best way to get a hold of. I don't really need it, but I appreciate it, Mr. Lynch. Email is really the best way to get a hold of us. You'll get the quickest response. As you heard, we travel to 3, maybe 4 buildings. So getting us on the phone is a little bit hard. So if you do have any questions or concerns, email really is the best way. And we're lightning quick with getting back to you.
Student expectations. 1, maintain good behavior in all areas of the school as per the district student code of conduct. 2, maintain acceptable grades. As much as all of your learning is important, making sure you pay attention to your core subjects, English, math, science, social studies, taking care of those things first and foremost. Taking care of any classwork that is missed during lessons is paramount, and it is something that must be done on a consistent basis. Practice as necessary in order to achieve your performance goals, the weekly goals that are going to be set for you by your teachers, as well as anything you on your own are interested in learning as you discover new things on your journey as a musician. In a little while, Ms. Pisano is going to talk in more detail about some of the more subtle and nuanced aspects of practicing and finding ways to make it work. Come fully prepared on a weekly basis with your instrument, your lesson book, and of course any accessories that you need. For example, if you are a clarinet or saxophone player, Ms. McGrath mentioned that you need reeds. They tend to break. It's very important to make sure that you regularly inspect and make sure that you have working reeds that you bring. There are specific things for each instrument that students will receive instruction in to know what to look for and keep track of what is even on the units. And of course, perhaps the most important aspect, or one of the most important aspects, is performing in our spring concert and putting your learning and your accomplishments on display for everyone to see and hear. Please participate in that. Parent expectations. Provide your child with a suitable instrument and other necessary equipment. As we're going to talk about in just a moment in a few slides about how to get an instrument, the instrument and other accessories and supplies are supplied by the families. We will explain how to get those things and what your options are. Encourage and remind your child to bring their lesson materials to school. The personal responsibility aspect of this is a very important soft skill that students learn through participation in this program. It's something that ideally all students would be able to do independently. What I want to really encourage you to do, and having done this for a number of years, I have found that some students are really good right off the bat at remembering to bring their things to school, getting into a routine, managing that themselves. Other students are not as consistent with that. There's really no correlation to any other aspect of learning or any sort of aptitude that I've ever noticed. It just really comes down to, I've got this organizational thing down yet, I don't have it down yet. Real talk, when I was in 4th and 5th grade, I was not good at remembering my instrument. My mom had to bring it to school more than once. It's embarrassing, but I'm telling you right now, I did get better at it, I promise, but just not right away. So the best thing to do is, in my opinion, my experience, my recommendation is to try to get a gauge of how successful you think your child is at this and adjust the amount of support accordingly, with the goal being to eventually have them try to do it on their own, even if that involves forgetting. Encourage and remind your child to practice and provide a suitable practice location. Same thing as with remembering the instrument. Some students are really good at setting their own practice routine and managing it themselves. Others may practice more successfully with a gentle reminder or perhaps a schedule at home where they get into the habit of doing it. Listen to your child play and provide encouragement, praise. Oh, was that Hot Cross Buns? I recognize that song. That's exactly what that song sounds like. Lots of ways to do it. But provide encouragement, it makes a huge difference. It really does. That's it. Next. Who's talking about the bootcamp? Okay.
Tag, I'm it. Okay, so we do have this. We started this now a few years ago. It's been on hold, as many things were on hold for a few years, and we are looking to bring it back. We are hoping to, probably in November, we have to settle some dates, offer an elementary parent boot camp. And what this is an opportunity for parents of our beginning students to come to the location that we set on a specific night, and you're going to bring your child's instrument, maybe your child too, but you're the one, parents, that will actually be learning how to play that instrument. So we give you that opportunity, and it's really just the first few lessons that we go over. Obviously, we're not putting on a concert for you. You know, you're not going to be playing, but we do go through what those first bunch of lessons are. How to open the case properly, how to assemble the instrument properly, how to get your first few beginning sounds, and also how to actually use the book and the resource that they have that we are asking for them to play from. We hear a lot from parents how obviously a lot of you have never played an instrument, or maybe you played a much different instrument than your child. And that can be overwhelming, or you might feel like you can't help them because you don't know how to read music, or you don't know what they're doing. So this is an opportunity that we have decided to bring to you, to give you a chance to come and get more familiar and more comfortable in helping your child at home, so that you know how to use those resources. If they have those questions, or you can just kind of peek in, double check that they have it assembled correctly, or if they're having an issue with their instrument, that maybe we can even go over some pointers so that you can feel like you are better equipped to kind of handle some of these few things, you know, at home on your own without feeling overwhelmed. Because it is a brand new thing, not only for the students, this is a brand new thing we realize also for the families. So this is not like something else that you have done before unless you have played an instrument yourself. And even then, maybe it's been a while, and you know, we don't always remember. So that's something that we are going to be offering to you, and we will be sending that information home once we get started with lessons to have families and parents, you know, sign up and come and attend once we get that set a little more solidly. I'm going to hand this over to Ms. Pisano for practicing. This is the most fun part. It really is. We get to do about 30 minutes worth of lesson time. And that includes walking in, unpacking, starting our lesson, getting everything together, and going over and over and over and over, and then they pack back up and then they leave. And then the rest of the week is with you. So, in order to, practicing itself is something that looks a little bit different at this age. I know what normally you think about is that, you know, oh, you have 30 minutes, 3-4 times a week that you're going to devote to practicing. That is not what we want. Not at all. That's too much. These songs are literally 15 seconds long. If you want to hear a 15-second song for 30 minutes, good luck. No, thank you. So, practicing looks very different. It's going to look a lot like how to open the case safely, how to put the instrument together. They're going to be opening the case, closing the case, opening the case, taking the instrument out, putting it together, or putting it up into a position correctly, and then putting it back. It may not have one sound being made, but it's the muscle memory that we're building. All of the steps that we go over, and I mean step by step, so that nothing gets broken, so that everyone is set up to play in a healthy way. Those are all part of practicing. So you're gonna see some really crazy stuff. It's okay. If you have questions, email all of us. We'll take them all, it's fine. Finding time to practice. Like 3 times maybe is really great if they can do that. I have 3 kids, and for a while they were in different districts. We were 2 teachers, and it was bananas. They all played instruments, and it was crazy. But everybody has to take baths or showers. So while one was in the shower, the other one was practicing, and then we'd switch. The next shower, while that one was redoing, then you had another shower and somebody else was practicing. And it was only for maybe 10 minutes of time, and not all of that time is playing. It could be just getting that instrument out, making sure that they were sitting correctly and doing all of those things. We're going to show you a lot of what those things are going to be in our messages home, telling you what we're doing in class. And you're going to see a lot of it when you come to the boot camp. Some practicing can be like that, where it's just finding little snippets of time. I'm making dinner, why don't you play me something? That's great. Or you could be the super scheduler, and you could have them open up their iPads and you can have them schedule it in so that they see it just like they see anything else, like spelling tests or anything else that they're practicing, or handwriting. Those same skills are the same kind of skills that we're going to be going over. So if you have a student that needs that reinforcement and a little alarm that goes off, set the alarm. That's fine. But make sure that you have the second alarm that goes off to tell them that that was great. That was great, that should be good. Reinforce that they're doing a good job by just practicing, by getting it out, by, hey, I heard you got your instrument out, that's awesome. The idea that you're paying attention, that you know that this is going on and it's getting better and better, because it will, I promise it will. It gets better and it gets better and better. Otherwise we wouldn't have so many of us up here. So those are, did I miss anything?
How to make it fun.
How to make it fun. FaceTime family. Have mini concerts. Pick favorite songs and try to figure them out from ear. There are so many things. We have different things like little YouTube things where they can go through and explore. You can always do, like, practice just for funsies one day, where they just pick their favorite song and say, this is my favorite song and I want to practice this one. Fine, that's great. Because you're going to do all the same skills that we want you to practice in that song that you would with any other song too. And maybe they need a day where it's not nearly as challenging as what it was in class that day. So anything that you can do to make it fun. Record them and send the recording to somebody and show us. So yeah, send it to us. Oh, we love that. That's so much fun. Just to know that they're doing it at home is nice. From our end.
Absolutely.
Second? Yeah? Oh, I got this one too. Okay, so I've taught elementary now. This is my 5th year. But before that, in my other life, I was a high school and a middle school director for many, many, many years. And the places that you can go are, for this district, all listed up here. I actually took a group of Middletown and Aberquinimec students to Europe, and we toured through Europe and played all different places all over the place, through Switzerland and France and Italy and all these wonderful places. They start here, opening their case, and then later they can travel the world through music. It is amazing what you can do. In middle school, they do trips to Hershey, to no, they don't go to Bush. That's too far.
Before COVID, they would play the Star Spangled Banner at the Blue Rocks.
So, oh yeah, the Star Spangled Banner at the Blue Rocks.
That was before COVID.
Yeah. Okay, so they have so many fun things that they get to do with music and just different things to explore. We also get to work with different people that are coming in to work with us. So we bring in professors from the University of Delaware, from Westchester, from IUP, and have them work with the students later. So these are things all that they get to look forward to as they grow into older and older musicians. All right, the moment you've been waiting for. How do we get them an instrument? Okay, so we have 3 main options. The most popular, and honestly, the most popular is the rent-to-own through a local music store. We have a few around. Zezwitz is the company that we use for all of our district instruments when we need repairs and when we need supplies and things like that. They come to us. They actually send a rep every single week. That stops in for us and can pick up anything that needs to get repaired, give loaner instruments, and have all that. So that is the company that we have linked through our website. Many of you may have already either gone there to take a look or maybe even set up your rental instrument already. So that is what we would recommend. There are other options, other local options available as well. We're happy to help you find other options if you would like to look for that, but Zezwitz is who we have linked through our website, and the link that you will get from us most commonly. When you rent to own, what happens is you set it up and you're going to pay, obviously, a little bit every month towards that instrument, but after just a few years, once they, sometime in middle school, you will be able to have paid it off, and it is now your instrument. They do have opportunities also, all the different companies. If you wanted to pay it off early, they do have other incentives or other discounts that they can give to you. So after a couple years, if you're like, we're almost done, but I just want to pay it off, you can talk to the companies and do that as well, and then it's yours to own. So that's why the rent-to-own is great, because it does offer you the opportunity to try it before you actually own the whole thing. But hopefully, the kids stick with it, and then it does become yours and the students to use then moving forward. The companies also are very good. Zeswitz is great too. They also have chances to upgrade. So let's say that they are in middle school or even high school down the road, and you want to upgrade your instrument from the very beginner kind that we have to maybe a slightly nicer version because your child really enjoys the activity and wants to improve even further or go further with music. You can reach out to the company as well, and they will help you get that upgraded instrument if you've rented from them in the past. So again, there's just lots of great things with that. Usually in the rent-to-own programs, they have different insurance plans that go with it. So any repairs that do come up, and they will. Any repairs or replacement things that come up, you just go directly through them, and they'll come, get the instrument, and take it to get repaired at no extra cost to you while you are renting it. So that's a bonus. If you decide to go to our next option, which is to buy, that's also fine, but we really strongly recommend that you consult us before you do that to make sure you are getting a quality instrument or at least have some guidance on what brands. In your packet, there is a list of brands that we do recommend. Now that's a sweeping list for all of the different instruments. We can help you narrow that down if you're a little overwhelmed with that list for the instrument that you would be looking for. And we're happy to even send you some models that we know would do well for students as well. So if you are looking to purchase outright, just make sure you do contact us so that we can make sure you are getting a quality instrument. The other part to that is any repairs that would happen for that instrument, and again, they will. You will need to still then go to a local repair store, whether that is through Zeswitz. You could, even if you're not renting through there, you can use their services. And some other local music stores would also have those services as well. But you do want to find a reputable repair place. We can help you with that. But just so you know that would be kind of an extra thing, aside from purchasing, that you will have to make sure you are prepared for. The last option is to borrow. So some people may have instruments within their family, hidden in a closet, in an attic, in a basement. Maybe a friend of a friend used to play. So if you do have an instrument somewhere near you that is available, absolutely use it. Okay, sometimes those older instruments are actually amazing quality, and if they've lasted for decades, then they're probably in really good shape to continue using them, but you do need to probably get them cleaned, maybe repaired a little bit to get going. They might need new pads or need, something straightened or new strings or whatever. So you do need to send that in probably to get it checked out to make sure it is in working condition as well. Now for the rentals, for strings, another reason why buying just might be a little tricky is because the string instruments, violin, viola, cello, do come in different sizes based on your child's size, okay? The band instruments are all one size. We don't have different sizes for those. They are what they are. But the string instruments do get sized to your child. So as they grow, so will their instrument, at least to a certain point. So you do need to, you will, if your child plays a string instrument, they will swap it out over time for a bigger sized instrument as they get bigger. You want to make sure that it is the correct size for them where they are now, and then you don't want to have to buy a new instrument every year. So that's another reason why the rent-to-own, because they will swap it out for you at no extra charge. Okay, so that's another huge perk to that rent-to-own, because we have a lot more options. Also, even for band, if they did down the road, let's say they get to middle school, they started on alto saxophone, but now in middle school they want to switch to a tenor saxophone, which we do need in middle school, slightly bigger instrument. Again, the company would be able to switch that out for you and help and work with you to make sure that they have the new, different kind of instrument. So these are just some of the perks that we have with going through the rent-to-own, but again, buying is an option. Please talk to us. It's also important that when you buy an instrument, cheaper is not always better. I know it's appealing, but it also means that the materials that they've used are also cheaper quality. The instruments tend to break very often. Some repair shops may not have the necessary equipment to fix those kinds of instruments, and some will even say, we're not going to touch it. It's not the cost to fix this instrument, you might as well just buy a new one. And so you might actually waste a lot more money by starting with that super cheap option, because down the road it's going to constantly break, or you need to replace it pretty soon anyway. Also, the sound quality may not be that great with the materials that they use, and even how it plays. It will actually make it more difficult for your student to be successful if they're not using a good quality instrument. So that's why we highly recommend that you at least consult us if you are not doing the rent-to-own, and go through a reputable music dealership store that deals with rentals and school instruments specifically. Here are some, real quick, just some materials and supplies. So of course, obviously, an instrument that is in good working condition. You'll need a lesson book. Both band and strings are using the Essential Elements book, but you do have to make sure it is for either Essential Elements strings, Essential Elements band, and then for the specific instrument as well. The rental companies that we go through, like Zeswitz, when you go on and do the rental, they already know this information, by the way, and they have these things pre-checked for you, so you don't have to go searching for them. They are already preloaded and set to be part of the bundle, okay? But this is if you did need to buy it separately, this is what you would need. Percussion uses two books. We use the Essential Element book for percussion. We also have the Alfred Drum Method book. Okay, so percussion would need both books. We actually start with the Alfred Drum Method book, so that would definitely be the one to have first if you didn't have them at the same time, but they do need both. Reeds for clarinets and saxophones, we start with size 2.5. There's an example picture there, the Rico, the orange box. You can get those at any local music store. Okay, you can order them online, but again, not all brands are created equal, and you want to make sure you get some good reeds. Valves and slide oil for trumpets and trombones. The rentals will come with those things. Folding music stand for home. This is an optional choice when you go, if you're doing the rental online. We do recommend that though, because they should be standing or sitting with good posture. That's one of the things that we go over in length. And if the book is on the floor and they're having to play like this, that's not the best for their lungs or for their backs or for their arms, and not good for their playing. So we do want to make sure that they have a stand to hold their book up so they can practice properly at home. And then strings have their own accessories, rosin cloth, a foam angled shoulder rest for violin and viola, and then a cello anchor if they are playing cello. And again, if you are going through one of our recommended companies like Zeswitz, they already know all this and they'll be able to get you these things. If you are buying on your own or have your own instrument, these would be the additional things that you will need to supply. So what do you do now? So if you have not yet registered, registration closes next Sunday, the 18th. Okay, at that point we have to get our stuff going. All right, so if you have not yet registered, you want to go to our website and you want to get registered. The QR code is on the front page of your packet, along with how to get to our website if you want to type it in when you get home. Either way will get you there. You're going to go there, click on the registration button, and fill it out. It's a real quick Google form, get you on our list. Once they're on our list, then we know to email you and make sure you have all the things. We know to contact your student with the schedule and get them on our list. Step 2, once you are registered, then that's when now we got to make sure you have an instrument. Okay, so again, you can go to the website and go through Zeswitz to get your rentals set up. The rentals, by the way, are set up to be delivered to the school. Okay, and we will hand the instruments out in our first lesson. All right, so don't think, oh, it's going to be coming here and we're not starting yet or whatever. We have it all set up. We have the dates picked with the company. They will be delivering it to the school so that we can get it to your child in the first lesson. Okay?
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. I don't know what I forgot. That's okay. Okay, so registration closes on Sunday the 18th. If you are renting through Zeswitz, then you must have your rental submitted to them no later than October 5th. You have a couple weeks to get it kind of figured out and get it set up. They will hold the instrument though until we have that date with them to have it delivered to the school, okay? We will start getting our lesson schedules figured out at each building and get them out to you and your child in various ways, and we are hoping to start lessons mid-October. That's why it's important to have those rentals and instruments ready to go. Once again, there's the QR code if you need it to go ahead and get to our website and get registered. String families, if you know your child is going to be playing a string instrument, our string teachers are here and available to size your child so you know what size string instrument to rent. Okay, very important, otherwise you're going to get there and then go, I don't know. Okay, so take the time if you have it to go ahead and speak to our string specialist and they can help size you now. We are here for any questions. If you have additional questions, we are happy to help you. Thank you so much for coming. We hope to see you all for a concert next in the spring.